Hello, Proxy Table Gaming PTG fans. I am Hyper G. He is Lucky Sixes.
What's that?
Stuffed up Lucky Sixes. Hay
Stuff
fever's here.
that. Stuff that. What's that? Oh my
It's spring,
goodness.
everybody. Nearly summer.
Absolutely. The time of year is here where you get to hear my gravelly voice and I'm drugged up to the hill, so there should be a good back rep right from the start,
Yeah.
right?
You're seeing stars, and it's not just
Absolutely.
the
Not just
wonders of
you.
Ninth Age. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way until I'm a star. Maybe one day. No, I think you're looking for stardom in the wrong place if you're looking for it in Ninth Age. But there's no maybe
Hey.
not.
Hey, we're all stars in Ninth Age.
Absolutely, we are. Yes, you're right. And speaking of multiple stars, this was a team tournament,
It
March for
was.
Victory. Ah, what a wonderful event it was. And yeah, we're into round two. Round two. So I have to confess that after round one, a little bit excited, my team. And yes, I did record it thinking we were the only team that capped 50 points in round one.
Yes.
So, yes, you saw the battle report 2 weeks ago, and I said that we were top. Apparently, we weren't. That was that was false.
The backlash we got.
Oh my lord! Yeah, so apparently the three teams got 50 points in round one, not just one or two, but three. And of those three, my team, only blocks and horses, were actually third. So we weren't first at all, not even on points tied.
Joint first.
Joint first is what I
Right.
obviously meant,
Yeah.
So
I edited the joint bit out. That was the problem.
clearly, I mean, it's just ruthless editing is obviously
It
what
was,
happened
yeah,
there.
to get
Yeah,
the time.
but anyway, we go into round two on 50 points. That is fact. And that drew us up against one of the Team Wales lots.
Yes, the leaks.
The Leaks. Yes. I don't know whether the Daffs or the Leaks were a better team, but we played against the Leaks, and we'll see how we get on against them.
Yeah.
So pairings wise, I got paired up against Luke Williams of Undying Dynasties. I mean, Luke Williams is Undying Dynasties on the scene these days, isn't he?
Yeah,
Really.
very much so. Very much so.
A few others are dabbling with it at the moment. Tanker and Tony being two that spring to mind.
Yep.
But yeah, Luke is Mr. Undying Dynasties. I think of all the people who were playing Undying Dynasties back when they were brilliant, he's probably the only one left who stuck with them throughout after a brief foray into vampires, etc. He's back with UD and a very fearsome opponent when he's playing them.
Absolutely.
I mean, anyone wielding a blade that big would be pretty fearsome.
They would.
Yeah,
and he does as well.
Yeah, he does. He brings
the
that
other
to
side of the
battle.
table.
Yeah, absolutely. You remember my list from round one? It has not changed, obviously. It's just 2 blocks and then a whole lot of chaff, a lot of parry,
A load of chaff.
yeah, and some divination magic, really, some Stygian swords, etc. Go back to round one because I've spent a little while talking about it then.
Yeah.
If you want to go through the list, jaded. And Luke's list. So he has a Pharaoh on a Shah Guardian, light armor, great weapon, Godslayer, Crown of the Pharaohs. I don't recall what Crown of the Pharaohs does, actually. Is it he gives his Undying, his rule to a unit within a certain range? I think
Yeah,
it's,
I think so.
yeah.
Or is that just Undying Will as a rule? He
Yeah,
definitely does
well,
give it.
he has Undying Deal. Well, I think Will, but I think Crown of the Pharaohs can give it to a unit nearby.
Okay.
His chariots who were next to the Pharaoh.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's what that is. I just accepted he could do that,
Yeah, yeah.
So
It sounds
the other
right.
Pharaoh, it sounds right, exactly. Yeah. The Godslayer weapon's an interesting one because my Tigger veteran has Fortitude, which bypasses the Godslayer thing. Godslayer is multiple wounds against Aegis saves. So I don't have Aegis saves.
And it's any Aegis saves as well. It's like
Any
this
Aegis
weird.
saves,
so if you've got a toxic Aegis save, for example,
you get hit
even
by
conditional, it still works and still comes into play because you've got one. Now, Godslayer isn't toxic. So
no, it's not.
You don't get the ward save against it. I do think it's
No.
funny. I think it's really good.
It is a really funny one. Yeah. Then he's got another Pharaoh making use of the what do you call it? Undying Will, or that rule
The Death
again.
Mask as well.
Yeah, and the Death Mask of Teput, plus Potion of Strength, Scourge of Kings. I don't know what Scourge of Kings does either. Actually, it's probably something nasty. But that guy goes with the big 32 Necropolis Guard unit, who also have paired weapons. So
Yeah.
I am petrified of that unit, full stop, because that gets right through my parry. The fact that they've got a Pharaoh with them means they're really high offensive, defensive. That is the worst unit I could ever go against, because my parry is just worthless. And I've put a lot of points into getting parry on my units. So 2 Death Cult Hierarchs, Evocation and Divination, one with Arcane Mastery. A decent spread of magic for them, really. It didn't seem like many spells, but it's enough for what they can do. And there's a lot of buff magic to support their healing
for sure
wounds. So I also had a Tomb Architect, give some fortitude out to the construct, of which he has 2 Colossi with paired weapons, 2 units.
And the Shah Guardian as well. We could give it to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He had 2 blocks of skeletons, one which was ambushing, the entombed rule, the other which was just his bunker for his wizards. I've already mentioned the skeletons, 7 of them with stalkers, of course. 7 skeleton scouts, just as chaff. 2 scarab swans with chaff as well, and they had special ambush. So a few units were popping out of nowhere. Yeah. This is a really good list. I mean, you can tell it's in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing, because Luke does know what he's doing.
Absolutely.
I very much took this one again. I just got paired to this because I was happy to just take what was left in the pairings. Elsewhere in my team, Shane took on Jack Austin with his in the dwarf off, a big dwarf versus dwarf fight. Richard Harris took on Matt EP for a good old gentleman's fist fight. So that's Richard's Aquitaine against Matt Paris's Empire. And Jordan Davis, in it with his Orcs, took on Alex Wallace with Sylvans. Was it Sylvans?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think so, yeah. And they play each other fairly regularly as well. So, there was some friendly games going on. Friendly games.
Yeah, friendly.
Maybe not. We had Encircle and Breakthrough. I hate Encircle so much, especially on the table. Like, it's fine on Warhol or Universal Battle, but Encircle, I mean, half my time is gone setting up Encircle. So I absolutely hate it. But yeah, Breakthrough, that's all good. Obviously, I needed to be aware of the ambushing skeleton unit, because that was a scoring unit. So I need to think about that.
And you hate it so much that you tried to deploy, even though
just ignored it.
You got big center, right?
I got big center and just ignored it, really. Because on my left I've got the 9 inches and slightly more in the middle. So just basically ignored it. This is the way to do it, right? Pretend you've got 12 inches everywhere and just deploy your flank slightly back. But looking at his deployment first. Come on, don't make fun of me. I hate Encircle, all right? Get over it.
I just think it's really stubborn. No, I'm not playing Encircle.
I'm not doing refuse. It. It's my ball, and I'm going home. Yeah, absolutely. He's got his chariots. There's 7 chariots on his right flank, my left. Skeleton cavalry up front, ready to vanguard and chaff. The Shah Guardian is sideways behind them. And then he's got his... what's that? I think they're 3 wide skeleton block, actually, weirdly. The bunker.
Just to fit him in.
Yeah, just fit him in and to make them as unappealing to go into as possible, I guess. Then he has his Necro Guard, big red flag on that unit. And behind the tower-like structure is the 2 Colossi. Obviously, he's got 2...
It's a small list, isn't it? But it just
list,
packs a punch, such a punch.
Absolutely, yeah. The Scarabs and the Skeleton unit are off the table at
the moment. The healing with the chariots, it's just so hard to actually get that unit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, they were light troops, so they weren't scoring. So that was one thing.
There is that.
He only had 4 scoring units. The Necro Guard, no, 3 units, Necro Guard and 2 skeletons. So that was something that I might be able to use to my advantage in a breakthrough scenario. On my left, I've got my Skink unit with a chieftain in, then the guerrillas, then I had the Tegu warriors with my veteran front right, and the Thyroscutus with the lodestone shield. Slightly in front of them, deployed slightly further forwards, is my Tegu Guard with another Thyroscutus and the Anarach. Behind them, the Tegu Mystics. This time I took the healing so that I could have some healing as well. And I think I took Ancestral Aid for rerolls to hit on them. Then I've got a unit of Light Troop Skinks in front of the Stygosaurs. The Ramphadons looking out wide. I think they might have vanguarded to that position, actually. They might have started behind on the backline. Then a unit of another Light Troop Skinks behind them.
Yeah,
It
boy.
was all good. Yeah. Luke got first turn, which I think he dropped for. He literally got the first chance to drop and took it. So it was. I mean, there is no matchup that I like against the Necrogard. So
no,
it doesn't really benefit me going opposite him. So the chariots come forward. The Necrogard popped the banner of Relentless Banner, so they are right on me. Right, that's so far forward. It's horrible. He had a small middle.
Just doesn't care. Yeah, is that ruins or impassable?
Forward. It's ruins. So go right through it. The cavalry moving through as well. They might have not vanguarded. I'm not sure. We might see them move again in a minute. I don't know.
I think they did vanguard before because they were in the outside of deployment. If you go back, they vanguarded to.
Oh, sure. Yeah, makes sense.
And then just moved up a little bit.
Or Luke cheated, one or the other.
Or he cheated.
Yeah, and the Colossus moved forward as well. He started shooting my gorillas, and hey, I got a reminder that apparently you Undying Dynasties hit on 5s. Like that, I haven't had that conversation in absolutely ages, but I was like, yeah, I've got a hard target. He was like, I don't care. And I must have done that at least 5 times throughout
Absolutely.
So, when you've got a hard target, you just want to tell people, don't you?
He did.
Yeah.
I'm hard to hit.
Yeah, not for them. I fanned out a little bit, quite tentatively, making it very clear that I wasn't coming towards those Necrogard. I moved I was trying to tempt his chariots to charge them so that I could counter-charge with my Tegu unit. Didn't expect it would work. And I obviously also thought that those gorillas were probably going to be dead soon anyway, so send them forward and get short-range shooting, if anything else. Other than that, I think I moved my Ramphadons out wider. I deliberately created a little ambushing space between my Skinks and my Ramphadons. I didn't expect Luke would fall for that because it's like obvious, You could. I actually think I said, "What's the footprint of your skeleton block? Can they fit here?" Because I think I prey scented.
This would be a really good spot for your
guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. I prey scented the skeleton block that was in ambush and one of the Colossus as well. The one on the left as we're looking at it now. I pretty much let Luke get every buff magic spell off in his turn 1 as well.
The
cards. There was nothing to heal and no threat. So that was how I moved in response. A swarm of insects did 2 wounds to a Colossus, which is great. And I had in my head, just stop healing. Don't let any healing make it worthwhile.
Nice.
And that was just a close-up, I think, of where I put the Stink Gorillas.
Giving them Guiding Light attribute?
Yeah, I mean, why not? He charged with his cavalry into the gorillas and actually caught them, which was a little bit unfortunate. I would have preferred if they'd got away, but I didn't flee very far at all, as you can see. So he did.
At least you should get their points.
Yeah, he took 2 casualties through the ruins. So that's fine. I think I got Awaken the Beast off on my Tegu Veteran Warriors unit as well. And I moved my character to the left side of it. But anywho, in his turn 2, he brings up both his ambushing units, which is cool. One of them parks in front of my Tegu Guard. The other one parks in front of my Skink block, which was an interesting place for them.
Yeah.
He reforms and heals some Skeleton Cav, which I let them heal because I knew I'd kill them via them being chaff at some point. So I was more than happy for them to get the heal as opposed to the Colossus anyway. And I did stop the Colossus from healing. So that was cool. He made a few shots on these Skinks. It was like all our attention on this corner. This is where the heavyweights fight. And he shot a couple of them off. Don't think much else. And then in my turn, I charged the skinks into the skeletons. They were in my deployment zone, or at least they were nearly in it, one or the other. So I didn't have a flank charge with my Tegu warriors at that point. I do now, obviously, because I've moved backwards. But I figured if I actually don't fight anywhere except there and just buff up my skinks, I could have really fighty skinks.
Yeah, man.
And win this combat against the skeletons. Because skeletons are better than skinks. Like we're both defensive, defensive 2, I think. But he is strength 3 and I'm res 2. So that's the only difference. I'm strength 3, he is res 3, and we've got similar armor and fortitude. So it's just the resilience of mine being lower that's the problem.
Yeah.
So, but I do have ranks, where he has a few. Anyway, the main event of the whole magic phase is me getting Rod of Battle and scrying on my skinks, and I strip off 2 rows of him, and he does very little to me. Obviously, I do have a skink chieftain to help out with the fighting, and he obviously contributes a bit because he's strength 4 or res AP1 with 3 attacks. So he did a good job as well. And yeah, it looks like I'm going to win that fight, which is awesome because he just did nothing back to me with scrying, etc. Over on this side, this shows his charges actually going into his turn, but I had chaffed the Necro Guard and the Colossus with 1 unit of light troops. My other unit of light troops you now see is fleeing. That's because they failed the terror test against the Colossus, which happens. You know, if you're out of your bubble and you only got discipline 5, cold-blooded, that's going to happen. So he redirects the wounded Colossus into the Ramphidons, who are defending the obstacle, which gives them distracting. So that's something. Apart from that, his Necro Guard charge into the other skink unit as well, and we'll mince them to pieces, no doubt. What do we got here? I think that's just him moving his Colossus around in his movement phase as well to support.
Did you stand and shoot on the Colossus with Ramphidons?
Yeah, I must have done. No, I didn't. Not with the Ramphidons. I can't.
It was something else.
Maybe I think actually maybe the skinks stood and shot against the first Colossus, and then fled in terror from. No, they can't have fled in terror. Maybe I chose to flee.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
Maybe you just shot previously.
Yeah, there could be a third wound from that. Maybe I don't know, but that would have been. Yeah, that would have been after Swarm of Insects actually. So yeah, maybe a third wound was done by that.
Yeah,
because Ramphidons don't have shooting anymore.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough. I know that your high elves have previously taken some wounds from Ramphidon javelins, but and Luke blocks off everything with his skeleton cavalry, and I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. You know, I don't mind him just sitting in front of me. His chariots were not being as aggressive as I wanted them to be, though. I would have loved to have had an early fight with his chariots and grinded them out, but it wasn't to be. Luke was keeping them back. He shoots a few of my mystics, and once again, I ask Luke, what kind of cover do I get from the fact that your chariots and stuff? And he just,
No.
Exactly. He puts a whole load of buff spells on the Colossus. Only manages to heal one of the wounds, because I think there's something about you have to declare if you're casting the healing version or not.
Oh, okay.
So he only heals one of the wounds despite getting 2 spells off. So I was okay with that. And it is incredible. Look at that, right? I know you love Colossus, okay? But this was insane.
What?
This was insane. Absolutely, utterly insane.
So let's go back. What? He gets Know Thy Enemy off.
Mm-hmm. And
which is +2 agility. So he's going first.
He's going first. I couldn't stop Know Thy Enemy. I made a mistake and dispelled something to try and stop the healing.
Probably.
I tried to stop the healing because that was my priority, and I didn't realize how important Know Thy Enemy was in getting him to go first, because I was agility 4 and he was 3 on the charge, I think, or maybe 4 on the charge to be at the same time. But yeah, he's hitting me on 2s, rerollable, and then wounding me on 2s, and
then dying, bitch.
I saved a few fortitude 6-ups. Not gonna lie,
safe to say.
But the fact that I had 2 Ramphadons left instead of 1 was huge because I had Prey sent up. So I had 10 attacks
Yeah.
re-rolling to hit. So I was hitting him on 4s re-rollable with battle focus.
To be
And I
fair,
was
he would have been
wounding
3s
him.
because of the wall, actually.
Oh, true, yeah, because of
But
distracting
still,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. It was insane. So I didn't expect that at all. He didn't either. Obviously, I only need to do 3 wounds to kill it. But they did.
Awesome,
Beautiful.
man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
beautiful. It's incredible. Definitely the
That's their points for a
highlights.
few battle, that is.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. I think that was just how it looked afterwards.
Yep.
So yeah, I think nothing different there. The skinks win the combat, and I literally lost about 1 skink during that fight. It was ridiculous.
Mate, that's class.
I know.
And great for breakthrough, right? In terms of
Great for
actually,
breakthrough. Yeah, I've stopped him. That's one of his scoring units that isn't getting into my breakthrough.
yeah,
And it also opened up a really cheeky little situation where I could run up the flank, and his chariots would now have to deal with them if they wanted
yeah.
to stop them. So it was like, yes, we've killed the skeletons. Go, go, go! Run, run, run!
Yeah,
And so I do indeed start running with my skinks up the flank. I charge in my Tegu Mystics and my Tegu Warriors into the Skeleton Cavalry because I've had enough of them.
Yep.
And I want to start threatening his chariots because I know that his Necro Guard and the Tegu Guard are going to be fighting soon. I can't put that off any longer. So I need to be threatening his other units.
Sure.
So I figure I need to get this cavalry gone. I move a Skink Chieftain out to sort of prevent the chariots from charging into my skinks directly. And if he takes it, then I potentially could countercharge. So I'm thinking that's another little ploy, which I don't think Luke will take. He doesn't. So yeah, there's that. My Stygisaur's moving to the flank of the Necro Guard. My Chieftain on the right blocks his Colossus from a flank charge, because I know that the Necro Guard are going to be charging the Tegu Guard next.
Yeah.
My Ramphadons face away from the action, so I didn't want them frenzy charging into anything. And I was actually thinking of using them to go after his bunker soon. But I am a bit weak with that. These boys all deal with the chaff, which is absolutely fine. So no worries there. And I get scrying off on the two guards, give them a chance of dealing with the paired weapons. Necro Guard.
Because they're only strength 4, right?
The Necro Guard are only strength 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're wounding me on
sure.
This was disappointing. My Chieftain on a cold-blooded 7 failed terror check against the Colossus. It's going to happen eventually, even with cold-blooded. So you can't be too upset. It was just unfortunate, and it did mean that the Colossus charged into the rear of the Stygisaurs. I guess I didn't need to put the Stygisaurs there. They weren't very well placed, so it wasn't the best position for them. I could have done better there. He charges his Shah Guardian Pharaoh into my Mystics, which I was actually all right with, because it meant that he wasn't charging that into the Tegu Guard as well.
Yeah.
And I might be able to weather the storm of the Necro Guard, who do charge the Tegu Guard. A lot of guards going on here.
A lot of guards.
Yeah. He gets, what spell is that? Spectral Blades on his Necro Guard.
Really
Rerolls to wound, of course. I don't think he got the Lethal Strike version off. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
He might have done, actually. No, I think he probably did. You see that in the preceding... hang on. Why is the Stygisaur... Oh, yeah.
This is after combat.
This is... Oh, sorry. Yes, it is, of course.
Yeah.
Before the Shah Guardian combat, though.
Yes.
So... Yes.
Unless you've just given him a champion.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't recall giving him a champion. That would have been a good move, maybe. Didn't think of it. Yeah, his Necro Guard didn't roll that well, despite the fact that they were hitting on... I think they were hitting on 3s?
Back to 4s because of distracting, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have even been 2s to 3s because of his Undying Will.
Sure.
And the fact that at this moment, the old book Tegu Guard were down defensive skill 3, I think.
And then Death's Mask as well, right?
Yeah, and then Death Mask, exactly. It was a
yeah.
really bad exchange. But Luke didn't roll very well with his Knuckle Guard, and I actually got away with it a little bit. And annoyingly, I forgot to actually no, wait. Oh no, wait for that. Ignore that sentence. Yep, ignore that sentence. That's fine. So I got away with the first score into combat without him doing too much damage, which was cool. My Stygosaur has fled. The remaining Stygosaur has fled away from the Colossus, and I lose 4 Mystics. So I didn't give him the champion. That probably would have been a good idea to limit the damage. But there's that. Luke rudely broke my Tegu veteran. The spear came off when he leant over the table. I mean, that's just
how rude.
How rude, right? And then in my magic phase, so the Tegu Mystics fled the Shard Guardian, but they actually got away. He didn't pursue them. No, he did pursue them, and he rolled like a double 1.
Or
something like that. So he actually is in a really awkward position, potentially, for the following turn as well. And I bring that Skink Chieftain up to try and annoy him for a further turn later on. I got Guiding Light, Know Thy Enemy on my Tegu Guard, which is awesome because it kind of evened up the score with the offensive-defensive problem. I didn't have Scrying off this time, though. And I put Alchemical Fire on the Necro Guard, which obviously goes well with my Flaming Standard. Can you guess the sentence that I nearly said last turn? The Stygosaur rallies, which is awesome, and I turn around to face the Colossus to make sure the Colossus has to kill him rather than joining the Tegu combat. Yeah. And my Tegu warriors, meanwhile, are running at the chariots aggressively to try and both break through as well as get the chariots. The chariots are light troops, though, so I don't really expect to catch them. In the combat, like I nearly said, I forget to trigger my Flaming Banner.
Oh, no.
The rerolls to wound. I would have been wounding on 3s rerollable, and I forget to trigger it.
Oh, no.
And it's pretty important, to be honest, because he kills a whole load of Tegu Guard, leaves me with about 7 or 8. I think that's 7, a full front rank. No, sorry, there's a 5 in the middle. 5 left. And even with 11 Tegu Guard attacks, because the champion was still there, I think, even with that, rerolling to wound would have been so good. I could have really reduced the amount of Necro Guard for the following combat, because Guiding Light and Bodyguard means I hold this. I hold until I'm dead, effectively.
Totally,
and forgetting to get that rerolls was really important, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But never mind. And then in the other situation, so maybe go back a picture, actually, to be annoying. So you see the Stygosaur, there is that bunker of wizards and skeletons over there. Yes, I don't really know if I noticed that the skeleton warriors were a threat behind the Stygosaur or not. Because that impassable, that ruins. I kind of had it in my head that I don't know what I had in my head. I'm trying to think of reasons why I didn't see this as a threat.
Because it's a bunker, right?
It's a bunker. By this time, it was 5 wide. And it was looking at the flank of the Tegu warriors. But I didn't see it as a threat at all. So he needed a 9 to charge into the flank. I was wanting the chariots to come in the front. That much I wanted. But when he got the 9 to charge his flank into the side of the Tegu warriors, that's really bad for my spears and my static combat res and my stay ability, etc. So I was a little bit like, oh man, I need to hope that I can hold this because I've got no magic on them at all. This is a straight up fight.
Right.
So you can see my skinks are legging it down the flank as we speak as well. And that was a problem. We were so short of time at this point that this picture basically sums up how we ended it. So this is the first time that I learn champion shenanigans. Okay. Right. And it's a horrible thing. Okay. Because my Tegu veteran, who had a potion of swiftness,
it's on the right.
On the right of my Tegu warriors, is going first. Yeah.
Here.
And exactly. And he has multiple wounds too when he rolls a 5 up to wound. And against chariots, with 4 attacks that are hitting on 3s or 2s, actually, maybe 2s or 3s, and wounding on 2s, that can cause a bit of damage against some chariots.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, if he does 8 wounds to the chariots, I can actually, or even 6 wounds to the chariots, I can hold this combat even with that unit in the flank. Luke issues a challenge with his skeleton chariot champion. And I just accept it with my champion because I want my dude to attack the chariots, obviously. Yeah. So I just accept it with my champion in my unit. Think nothing of it. Then we get to the point where I'm about to roll my Tegu veteran, and he says, "Oh, the Tegu veteran's not in combat with anything anymore because my champion's in combat."
Yeah, can't go against.
And I say to Luke, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Which one's your champion?" I mean, these chariots. I'm not having a go at Luke as such, right? But his chariots. He said the champion is the one with the coffin on the background, on the base. And obviously he can definitely say that at any point. And this isn't a go at Luke because this can be anyone with anyone's chariot champion models. Obviously, I had no idea that was the champion model, even if I had have known this ploy as a thing.
Yeah.
But effectively, I had no evidence to prove that wasn't the champion model. I'd fallen into the trap already because I'd accepted the challenge with my champion.
Yeah.
And so I just have to put my dice down and say, fine, my Tegu veteran isn't attacking. Because even the skeletons in the flank aren't touching him.
Champions, man.
Champion shenanigans.
Champions, man.
That feeling where I've just lost my 4 attacks doing potentially 4 or 6 wounds or so.
Yeah.
I do get the Tegu warriors get pretty much destroyed. I killed 3 chariots worth, which is not too shabby by any means. But you can see the pile of dead Tegus. And I lose combat by 1. And I fail my brain test. And literally all I would have needed is that Tegu veteran to do one successful swing.
If you just like hold that as well.
Or if I hold the combat, yeah. Now, we were completely out of time by the time that combat ended, and I was feeling a little bit salty, I'll be honest. So apologies to Luke, about that. And, there's nothing wrong with playing that trick. I would just suggest that maybe your champions need to be fairly obvious, I guess. If you're gonna,
and you need to ask
use
as
that
well.
trick,
you gotta.
It is on me as much.
You gotta,
as anything.
You gotta be super for the people watching.
The duel,
you gotta be
before champion the duel. Find out.
There's a good few videos actually. I think there's one by Schmidt. So if people want to go and look on YouTube, for a long time ago, this was about champion placements and character placements and how it's super important. On occasions, so it's definitely worth. I don't know whether I can link it or not. But I'll try, I guess.
Maybe.
But really, it's super important to really get that early doors and know, because I mean it's just a case of moving your guy inwards and stuff like that as well. So
I'm not all just accepting the duel with the character. I would have still got his 4 attacks. The chariot's got 3 HP. He could have easily killed the chariot and got overkill.
Yeah,
like if I could have got up to 6 overkill, killing the 1 chariot model, and that would have been easily enough to win the combat. And then he crumbles all over the place.
Well, that's it. Yeah, for sure, man.
So that is 100% on me.
Lessons learned, but I know.
But it just felt so shit.
There was a gotcha moment.
Exactly, and
gotcha.
It's not one of those haha, let's enjoy how I got you moments. It's one of those I've just screwed you out of this moments, and. Yeah. Little spoiler. This conversation might be happening again later in the tournament.
Well, what, the other way around?
Unfortunately not.
My
conscience is clear. I'm just an idiot. Anyway, we'll come back to it at a later date. So, yeah. So
with them dying.
With them dying, all that out of the way, my Tegu warriors are dead. Because we didn't have any time left to fight the end, we agreed that the Necro Guard finish off the Tigger Guard and get their points because they're attacking first the whole time, and his hero is like getting 4 or 5 every turn.
Yeah, sure.
And I wouldn't be bodyguard or steadfast or anything once I was only left with a Thyroscutus and an Anorak who would just die. There wouldn't be anything left to kill the remaining Necro Guard.
Yeah, sure.
The Necro Guard would be in my deployment zone to get 1 in breakthrough zone. And with that agreement, I said, I can agree that providing you agree that my skinks pass their panic and run into your deployment zone. That was the trade-off, basically. Because there is a chance that the Strength 4 AP1 Necro Guard can't kill a Thyroscutus. There is a chance. And it's my BSB. So I'm cold-blooded, rerollable. You know, there's a chance my Thyroscutus could actually hold that Necro Guard unit.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not confident, but I was using that as my bargaining chip to say, let my skinks run into your deployment zone or draw objective. Yeah. So I gave him a whole load of points by getting the Necro Guard, the Tigger Guard, but I drew the objective, which was kind of like the best negotiating I could do in that time and situation.
Fair enough.
And bearing in mind, I was feeling pretty salty. So, you know, apologies to Luke. You know, it was one of those things, but you got me. Haha. Way. So, yeah. Learn from it, Hyper-G. Learn from it. And yeah, I obviously don't learn quite quick enough, but we'll get there.
We'll get to that one.
We'll get to that. Anyway, it was a 16-4 to Luke. Well played, Luke. You deserved it. You outplayed me in one way or another. And so that was that. In the other matches, Shane got a 12-8 victory in the Dwarf Off against Jack Austin. So well done, Shane-O. Richard had a narrow 8-12 defeat against Matt Harris. Well done, Matty P, for that one. And Jordan had a even narrower 9-11 defeat against Alex Wallace's Sylvans. So we went down 3 out of 4. They were all tight. Mine was the biggest deficit. So shame on me for that. And so we lost round 2, 33 points to 47. So we weren't low capped, but we were nearly low capped. And it brings us back into the mid-table for the next round. So yeah, all is good. Team was doing well. I had to pick myself up for this while I ate my lunch. No, lunch was after round 1, actually, wasn't it? Yeah, I was having a minute.
Literally, you had about 15 minutes to pick yourself up.
Long.
Get on with it.
Yeah, I just had to get on with it. And so we'll see how I get on in round 3. But team's doing all right, and that's the
man.
So, there you go. Right, wipe away the salt. On to round 3, and let's look at your round 2.
My round 2. Which was against I was against Artem, and I think it's Rods of Battle. I think their team was.
Okay.
Yeah. So sense. Looking forward to that, and yeah.
Everyone likes a Rod of Battle.
Everyone does.
Sweet. We'll see you in round 2. Lucky 6s. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Give me your comments. How much of a right did I have to be a salty idiot about this little trick? And are you on the Team Luke or Team Hyper-G?
Oh, that is divisive.
Yeah, it's great because I love Luke. He's such a nice guy.
He's
an absolute legend of the scene. So it was a real shame that I had to be a right idiot over this one. But yeah, whatever. He got me. Haha.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And on that note,
the next one. Yeah.
See you later.